Greetings friends, Reformed Stoic here, back with another video. So for today, I figured we'd do more story time. And I'd tell the story of how I got into rapping. And hip-hop in general. It's a story that, oddly enough, starts all the way back. I think I can mention a little bit, at least, the video where I talk about the public school dissident harassment program thing, or the sabotage program. I talked about how, like, I was in special ed, and basically, like, they paired me with this guy who was, like, probably one of the dumbest kids in the school, and I was one of the smartest kids in the school. It's probably not the best way to start this video, but anyway, he showed me Eminem. That's such a nostalgic time because three artists that were really big at the time was Kid Rock, Britney Spears, and Eminem. And I remember when he moved into this new house out of his trailer. We'd go there after school. Nobody would be there. And we would listen to the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP. And basically just giggle at all the swear words and talk about how messed up the lyrics were. So that kind of put rap on the radar for me. I just remember that Eminem really had this appeal to kids, I guess you could say white people, because, you know, like, for lack of a better term, black people rap, like, you know, everything other than Eminem at the time that I was aware of, is very, like, hypnotic and rhythmic. It wasn't really, like, flashy. It didn't have that kind of, like, pop flash that would catch the attention of, like, a second and third grader. But, you know, Eminem, you can really understand the lyrics. Not that you can't understand the lyrics in other rap, but other rap is hypnotic and kind of more atonal. Not that Eminem is melodic per se, but maybe the beats are a little bit flashier. You know, Eminem is just kind of to an audience that didn't necessarily like hip-hop in general, I guess you could say. Okay, so fast forward a couple of years. That was like second, third grade. So now we go all the way up to sixth grade. This is around the time that I kind of just started to rap a little bit. I didn't really think about it. It was just something I kind of like did. I didn't record songs or anything, but, like, you know, sometimes on the playground I would do a little freestyle. I didn't really listen to rap. That's about the time I was, like, really getting deep into pop punk. First albums I ever had was Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park and All Killer No Filler from Sum 41. I think I got both of those on my birthday in either 4th or 5th grade. But, you know, I had a couple of, like, burnt albums. Actually, my drum teacher's wife at the time, she was able to burn CDs. It's kind of another little nostalgic thing for 90s kids. Like, you probably, like, had a friend or one of your parents' friends who had a fancy computer that could burn CDs. Now anybody can burn CDs. Burning CDs is great, by the way. Having, like, boom boxes and stuff, CD players. Love it. Love physical media. But this is all just kind of like hints of how rapping was, like, kind of coming for me. So I kind of got this nickname, Skittle, from these kind of, like, nerdy girls on the playground. It's not like anybody thought I was good, but I didn't really take myself seriously. I wasn't really walking around like I was some sort of a serious rapper. Just every now and then I would try to rap, and it wasn't necessarily good, it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was kind of goofy, and people called me Skittle. And that name actually kind of stuck. I had the special ed English class in 7th grade, and a couple of the kind of like nerdy girls in that class, I remember they would call me Skittles. They always got it wrong. It's supposed to be Skittle, but they called me Skittles. Funny story, I had a couple of different websites. My neighbor showed me 1afm.com, where you could create a website that would be like www.whatever.1afm.com. And man, this is a crazy story that is somewhat relevant to this, I guess, because really, I officially started rapping my junior year of high school, but I'm kind of just giving you all these snippets that kind of like led me there. So, my neighbor created this like hate website, which sounds really extreme, but I definitely know where her mind was at with this. Like, it was a joke. She had a weird sense of humor, but she created this website, ihategrady.1afm.com. And she had that website going for a while, and nobody really thought anything of it. And she also taught me how to make a website using that domain. So my first website ended up being called skittletopics.1afm.com. I highly doubt it's still up. I think you could even have a DuckDuckGo domain. There's a few different domain names, but the one I remember was 1AFM. But so I had a website called Skittle Topics, and like I tried to like write out some sort of a drum solo on it with tabs. Drum tabs are the stupidest thing ever, by the way. If you have it in your head, like it's easier to read drum tabs. I don't even know if they still do that anymore. They had tabs websites that, like, when I was in these bands in middle school and high school, the guitar players would all be looking up the tabs. I think guitar tabs, like, those make sense, but yeah, drum tabs, like, bro, just learn how to read music. It's probably easier. But, my website didn't really have that much on it. I probably wrote like a little bio, talked about my friends a little bit. A few of my friends had these websites. So eventually I get pulled into the office and there's police there. And then my mom was there because my neighbor gets in trouble for having this hate website. Like, she said all these really extreme things on this website. Like, it is my decree to have a fatwa against this guy, and I'm pretty sure this guy had police in his family. And this is just kind of like her weird sense of humor. I mean, it's screwed up. It definitely sounds like it's screwed up, but I just don't think she was like thinking about how serious it is. And and when you have problems on the internet, as I've come to realize later in life, it's serious business, man. That can involve the police or the FBI or whatever. So I get pulled in the office because I left a comment on the little blog thing on her page, the little check-in. You could just make like a copy-paste. That's really all you did on these websites. You copy-paste HTML code from like a copy-paste section if you want to get a comment section, if you want to get a chat room. You just kind of like copy-paste HTML code. So I left a comment on her website. And then the police were investigating her website. And then they find my comment. And then they find my website. And they're telling my mom, Skittles is actually slang for cough syrup. We think that maybe your son could possibly be like marketing cough syrup through his website. It's like, no, Skittles is... that's his rap name. And it's so weird because nobody really thought of me as a rapper. Or maybe they did. Because I really did have that nickname, Skittles, and it stuck. And there were a few, like, nerdy girls in my band classes and stuff who called me Skittles. But I really don't remember trying to rap that many times, like from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. But apparently I did. But it wasn't really a thing. So Now we get to my freshman year of high school, and what I started to become notorious for was it would be these English classes. Sometimes it was other classes too, like my American history class in junior year. They would give you all these different options for homework assignments. And one of the options would be you could make a song. So all these guys who were, my friends on different levels who like played guitar or whatever, they would always want to do projects with me because, my basement was like not a recording studio, or not a basement, my garage where I had my drum set up. It wasn't a recording studio, but we'd set up our amps. I had my drum set up, obviously. I would take like my HP laptop and would use like maybe just the computer microphone, or I don't even know if I had any sort of an interface for a microphone at that point. I might have had some crappy computer microphone that I plugged into it that was a little bit nicer than the bass microphone. I don't remember how we recorded these projects, but I'm pretty sure it was just with the computer mic, some sort of a plug-in computer mic on my HP laptop. When we're talking about like my freshman year of high school. And so we would like record songs for our homework assignments. And one of my friend's projects, or maybe it was mine, we all had to make songs about Alice in Wonderland. One of my guitar player friends at the time, he took the song Jesus Saves from Slayer and then like changed the lyrics to make it about Alice in Wonderland, like Alice in Wonderland chasing the rabbit. And then I think my project was a rap song. So we got a few people rapping on it. And this was kind of a theme, is like, that was the first time I did it. And people kind of noticed that I got really into it. They're like, okay, calm down, dude. Like, it's a stupid, goofy song for the project. But I kind of got into it, and I was kind of feeling myself. Like, yeah, man, I just made that rap song. But, it was kind of still under the guise of like a goofy project. But people saw that I was kind of starting to feel myself a little bit. And then I kind of wanted to make more songs. So now, fast forward a couple of years later. Because, we made a bunch of songs like that. Man, we made this song, like this metal song about Mesopotamia. That was really funny. That was my sophomore year of high school. Some sort of a history class that I had. Literally everybody in the class goes up and like reads their boring presentation about Mesopotamia. And then me and my like goofy stoner guitar friends stand up in front of the class and press play on this song. And it's like our crappy version of death metal at the time. Mesopotamia! We like wrote lyrics about ziggurats and Babylon, and it worked. Like, it tended to work every time. So, okay, we're finally kind of getting to the meat of it. So, the next time I worked on a rap project for a homework assignment, it was man, I think it was about Alice in Wonderland again, interestingly enough. I don't know why we kept doing this stuff about Alice in Wonderland, but it was for somebody else's project. And I had a friend here who was also a drummer, and he made beats. Like, he made really pretty high quality beats in Fruity Loops. I mean, there's definitely, as far as I know, like probably better programs that you'd use to make beats, but he had like the fancy version of Fruity Loops, and everybody spoke pretty highly of his beats, and they were pretty solid. So he was already like a pretty solid beat producer. Like, he was a senior, I was a junior, and I was in this film is lit class where I was one of the only juniors in class. I reversed it. I took film is lit my junior year, and then I took the junior literature class my senior year. So my senior year, I was in a class with all juniors, and then my junior year, I was in a class with all seniors. So this is Film is Lit, where we like write papers about movies and films. So that one had like pretty high quality. Like we went and recorded our rap over on this guy's computer at his place. And once again, I was like really feeling myself, and I helped write other people's verses. And I remember when we were giving the presentation, I was like, yeah, I wrote that line. And the teacher's like, nobody asked, Jake. And people were always kind of like looking at me sideways when I'm proud, of writing these goofy rap songs for projects. So, meanwhile, junior year was the first year I started to party. That was when I first started smoking weed and drinking. I started kind of hanging out with the popular kids. Some of these guys who were kind of like cooler than me would be hanging out with me because I was the music guy. And all throughout this process that I'm about to explain, I was always the recording guy, okay? This dude, probably easily like top 5 picks for most popular kids in my school. And this is a small town. But he played guitar, and he was kind of notorious for rapping. Like, he was at all the biggest parties, and people really kind of like kissed his butt. And I'd be at these parties where he would do a freestyle. And he'd walk up to different people in the room and rap about them. And everybody was just so like complimentary of it, kissing his butt all the time. And it got to a point where I don't remember exactly how it went down. But one time after he was done rapping, I just started rapping. I busted out a freestyle because I was tired of him getting all the clout. And I gave it a shot. And, yeah, like, I think people were supportive of it, like, maybe the first couple of times I did it. But once it started becoming evident to people that I was starting to kind of look at myself as a rapper, because all the stories leading up until now, I never really had that vibe where, like, I kind of thought I was a rapper for real. And, especially when you're a white guy, once you start acting like you really think you're a rapper, you're gonna get crap from people, especially in your hometown. But this is where this story gets kind of cool because, so I got a black MacBook, not a MacBook Pro, just like a nice MacBook laptop, one of the black ones. At the time, the MacBook Pros were like bigger and silver. I had a smaller black MacBook, but it was a great computer. I had GarageBand on it. So the first song I ever made, I sampled from the song Boston by Augustina. It goes, you don't know me, and you don't even care. Oh yeah, I haven't heard that song in forever. I get the idea that band like didn't really stick around, but that was the hook, was the chorus of that song, and then the beat was the little piano thing, and I put some GarageBand drums over it, made a beat, and yeah, I can't really remember what the rap was I made over it, but I made this song. I made a MySpace music account and posted that song, and like everybody heard it like the next day. Like that's how tight knit everything was. Like the next day when I go in the foyer, all these people are telling me that they heard my song, and people were saying, like, somebody said I sounded like Snoop Dogg. And initially, first couple of times I freestyled, first time I made a song, people were pretty cool about it, because I don't think they realized like where it was going. Like I was gonna really take it seriously. And obviously already was a drummer at that point. Like by my junior year, my sophomore year of high school, I like played a really pretty technical snare solo at state solo ensemble. Got a 1, which is like the best you can do without winning. So I was like a really serious drummer already. And so from there, the story's probably, that's all like kind of the unique tidbits, because from there it's pretty much the rest is history. But what we started doing was all my various stoner friends, we would start making this habit of taking my laptop out into the woods, maybe with some beers, with some weed, definitely weed, or in somebody's car, in the woods, or in somebody's car, or in my car, and we would record freestyles in GarageBand. And you know, yeah, I was the tech guy. Like, I was the guy who had the sense to make the MySpace music account. I was the guy who had GarageBand. I was the guy who had the laptop. I was the guy who knew how to record. I mean, the production was always terrible. I used to just like turn everything all the way up. Everything was like clipping all the time. But I was the producer, basically. And so, and you know, some other people were starting to become rappers, like these younger guys. There's this one guy who was like maybe 3 years older than me, and he was kind of like this old, he had some old like Kodiak rap tradition. He had a pretty unique style, and I feel like he taught me a couple of things. He was the guy who told me to stop yelling, because definitely the first rapper that I got excited about was Immortal Technique. And people said that like every time I freestyled, I basically just tried to copy Immortal Technique. Like, I would like yell and be angry and try to sound like deep and talk about corruption and like be violent, and it was cheesy because I was like small. So he ended up telling me, he actually didn't tell me this till like 2013, like years later. That was the last time I lived here before being gone until I recently came back. But he's like, yo, man, just sing more. Make it more like you're singing, you know? You sound like you're angry and you're yelling when you rap. Try to make like a nice sounding, gentle tone with your voice, and just don't yell. Sing. It's not singing, it's rapping, but make it pleasant. You're making music. And I actually feel like that advice kind of helped me. But, yeah, man, you know, so my senior year of high school, and then all the summers when I came back, like, I came back in summer 2010 for a while when I was still going to Berkeley. I came back back that winter break, and then I came summer of 2011. That's the bad one, when I went to mental hospital and realized I wasn't going to go back to Berkeley. And then I came back that following winter break, and then I came back summer 2012, winter 2012, and then the last times I came back was like summer 2013, winter 2013. So I pretty much came back every summer and winter break. And you know, I had maintained my friendships, though they were kind of like slowly starting to fall apart little by little. But ultimately, like, I maintained my friendships up until I moved. You know, it started to fall apart basically by like winter 2013. But yeah, man, I'm kind of bummed that I threw all those tracks away. You know, I kept the GarageBand sessions that I had for a really long time. But I played them out. Sometimes I would like show them to people in Boston, and they'd roll their eyes, and it was cringe. I don't know. At some point, I just decided to delete it all. But yeah. So I don't want to lose my track here. We're already 24 minutes into the video, and that was all just kind of like the pissing around, you know? Like, I really wasn't a very good rapper at all. None of us were. That's the thing. We had this group, K-Town Crew. I remember we had a song called I Kill People for Money, and and then I'd record this other guy's songs. For the record, he was definitely better than me, like, in high school, but none of us were good, is the thing. Like, K-Town Crew was me, him, and then this little, like, native weightlifter guy who was an absolute beast. He was, like, 5'6", 135, and he could bench, like, 250 pounds. Absolute beast, dude. He won bench press competitions and all this stuff. And he was alright at freestyling. A lot of times he would just get really drunk and be like, everybody knows that, everybody knows, and everybody knows. That's the thing that he would keep saying. Every rapper has something that they repeat way too much when they freestyle. His thing was, everybody knows, and everybody knows. I mean, sometimes he'd literally get so drunk, he'd get like blackout hammered, and basically his freestyle is just be like, and everybody knows that you're a bitch, and everybody knows. Good times, man. Definitely some good times. I mean, I just kind of want to reminisce about rapping in the woods, rapping in a car, freestyling. A lot of good times with that, man. And sometimes I'd even get my other friends who didn't even rap at all to, spit a hook or something that maybe I wrote for them. And then I had like kind of a separate group of friends where we would just go make like these really stupid songs. We'd make like this comedy music called Foot Rubs and Champagne. That was like me and Max K. Like, girl, you know you're my world, diamonds and pearls. I'm gonna feed you grapes in a hot tub. You know, it was kind of like a parody of R&B music. It's like, baby, you know I'm gonna put you up in that apartment. He don't treat you right. Yeah, it's just gonna be diamonds and pearls, girl. I mean, Foot Rubs and Champagne. So a lot of goofiness, man. But all the while, especially after the mental hospital, I gotta tell you something about that whole experience, having that terrible summer, having that. I mean, I don't want to tell that whole story over again, but more or less, some things were said that were used against me when I was having a bad time, and I ended up doing 72-hour hold in a mental hospital. I did my court date. A lot of people I'm hearing these days, like, they lose the court date, and they have to end up doing, like, the extra 2 months or something. They're telling me I was going to stay for, like, 3 months. I remember that moment. When it's like, well, how long are you guys trying to keep me? It's like, oh, we want to do some tests, and probably like 2 or 3 months. I was like, 2 or 3 months? And I was just like, I got to get the hell out of here. And I meditated, and I got super serious. And in court, everybody seemed to see it my way. They saw that it was kind of like circumstance and situation. And they're like, well, you got to be careful what you say, yada, yada, yada. We think it's an adjustment disorder, which is basically nothing, and I was released, and it was removed from my record, and all of that. But I gotta say, like, I wrote some songs about that experience when I got back to Boston, and those were kind of like a different level than the other songs I had made in the past. And I would say, like, if you listen to... I'll go ahead and post all my rap. I'll post my whole rap playlist in the description for anybody who hasn't really gone down the rabbit hole yet. But I have a video, Lucid Hip Hop, The Lost Tracks. That's what I used to call myself, was Lucid Hip Hop. Most of those tracks are not from before that experience. A couple of them are. A couple of like the collabs I did. But most of those tracks, like the oldest ones, the very oldest one, there's one called Mad Scientist. That was like one of the first ones I had memorized. I drop more important subjects than Berkeley school texts. What would you expect from a broke individual? I leave the senses fulfilled, touch, sound, and visual. I drop the best rhymes that I've ever writ, like toxic spills off of an Alaskan oil rig. Who's to say what lifestyles I integrate? I drop for your lies to imitate. Soon to see the future and everything it beholds. I watch time go to black as landscapes grow old, from dark to cold and sun to heat. Turn to the century, churn my bones, inflate, repeat. Like past tracks of experimental syntax of spin raps. You can't escape the relapse, so you bring back your spring track. Anyway, that one was called Mad Scientist. I did like a meditation track of some sort right before I wrote that. That was like back in 2010 when I was still going to Berkeley. And I was making songs while I was going to Berkeley, but most of them didn't make the cut for that long, like 55-minute video I have, Lucid Hip Hop, The Lost Tracks. The oldest ones, like, oh man, I was telling myself when I made this video I was going to have these songs, the list of songs up so I could remember them, because I always forget what some of these songs are called. Blue face like cobalt, and then it snowballs. There hasn't been a storm like this in centuries. You were always a good friend to me, but I'm better friends with destiny. Or I started to sample music from horror movies. Like that had the music from the movie Phantasm. And then another one had the music from the movie Zombie 2. I believe the director is like Lucio Fulci or something. I am just completely brain farting on what all these songs are called, but you know, I can like timestamp it and put it in the description. I feel like a couple of the songs I wrote, like those two songs, were pretty good, especially considering like the music that I'd release over the next 3 or 4 years. My commentary on lucid hip hop was like I didn't seem to know what was good yet. Like every now and then I'd make a song that to this day I think is really good. Like some of my best writing for that entire time period from 2011 up until like 2016, you know? So I'd write these good songs and then I'd write bad songs. I wasn't consistent. I wasn't like confident in my style yet. And all that's really left to say about it is that I just really wasn't confident, man. I was embarrassed about it. I was kind of timid to tell people that I was a rapper. I was playing in death metal bands. I lived in a house with death metal musicians, and I was recording these songs in this house that I was living in the basement. So it was a little bit of a weird dynamic, man. You know, people kind of give me a hard time, like, yo, what's up, Lucid? You working on your next tracks, dog? Because, you know, everybody was rappers. Like, when I was in the technical death metal band Formless, the vocalist would be like, what was that song? You see Gucci, that's my motherfucking N-word. He's like, yo, man, we come down riding. And he was a total prick, dude. I told you guys when I quit that band, like, I roasted the absolute crap out of him and talked about how spoiled he was and all that. But, yeah, I got some kind of flack from these metal people, and, you know, some people would be like, hey, it's pretty good. The guy who I bought weed from, I showed him and his roommate one of my tracks once, and they kind of looked at each other and rolled their eyes when I brought it up. But when he listened to it, he's like, yeah, you know, it's like, it's better than some of the rappers that I know, and it's not as good as some of the rappers I know. Like, people basically said that, like, I was good enough to be alright, you know? And that's basically how it was. Like, I think I had some potential, but I wasn't confident in it. And as far as, like, people in Kodiak go, I don't know. The more serious I started to take it, like, this guy showed up to visit in Boston, and he got really drunk, and he made some comment about my music. He's like, you know, dude, yeah, this one song you wrote, Green Slip Scenery, is good, but, dude, the other songs, like are about killing people and stuff, dude, and it's like, that's not what you do, you know what I mean? Like, you don't kill people for money. He got all drunk, and this was in, like, 2013, and he's, like, talking about these songs that I wrote in high school. You know, like, Green Slip Scenery was some song that I wrote in, like, 2010 that a bunch of people said was good, but I don't really like that song. It was all, like, emotional, and that didn't make the cut for the Lucid Hip Hop Lost Tracks video. And he's just, like, talking about these songs that I wrote way back in 2009, and he's, like, almost, like, blackout hammered, just kind of, like, talking with a big mouth. He made some comments about how, it's like, dude, you have, like, a cool life over here, man. I didn't realize, like, you were cool, dude. I kind of thought you were just, like, a mooch who wanted to eat McDonald's all the time. Because I'd always get drunk and want to go to McDonald's at parties in Kodiak. That would just be kind of a thing for me. It's like, yo, let's go to McDonald's, because that's the only thing that's open 24/7. And I mean, all these people I was chilling with, dude, they were like low-key alcoholics, and they never freaking ate. I was 135 pounds, and I lifted weights like all the time, dude. I needed to eat some freaking food. These people just wanted to drink all the time, and like, yeah, I like to drink, but I also like to get freaking McGangbang at 2 in the morning. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, him saying that, bringing up these old songs, it kind of just represented this kind of gatekeeper mentality where people from Kodiak would speculate about this kind of stuff about my songs. I'd be like, dude, you haven't even heard any of the songs that I've come out with over the last 2 years. Like, you're talking about stuff I did in high school, and I was starting to improve by, like, leaps and bounds, you know? The songs that I was writing in 2012 compared to what I was writing in high school, there's no comparison. Just like the songs I was starting to write when I moved to Vegas. Now, honestly, some of the songs I wrote in Boston were pretty much just as good, if not better than some of the songs I wrote in Vegas. But I did kind of start having a couple of breakthroughs in Vegas that led to me getting into the development deal. I've talked about that a lot on stream. I mean, when I first moved to Vegas, I started hanging out with this guy, this black boxer dude, and he was the real deal, man. He was like, he was said he was 170 pounds. He must have been like 6 foot or 6'2". He looked like he was like 200 pounds. This dude looked like he would like jack people up, bro. I met him through a guy who I bought some beats from. Actually, one of my latest songs, This Life. If you listen to my song, This Life, that was a beat that I've had for years and years and years that I bought from that guy. The guy that I bought that beat from is how I met this guy, Jerome, who's this black boxer dude. And he basically ended up like moving into that place in Vegas for a while. And he like took me into the hood. I met this guy all day. He must have been like 6'6", 350 pounds, bro. This guy was freaking huge. And I think he was younger than me. He was like 20 at the time. I was like 22 or 23 or something. He's like, yo, little goofy white boy, you want rap? You want rap, dog? Okay, well, if you say you want to rap, then rap. And I freestyled for all these people in the hood. And they acted like it was good, dude. I mean, basically, every time I freestyled for people in Vegas, like, they were all about it. Because basically, after everything went to crap in Boston, that was kind of how I coped, dude. I was like, okay, my metal bands didn't work out. So when I was like visiting Vegas with my mom before I was going to move to Vegas officially, I was kind of just like deciding if I wanted to move there. I listened to I listened to the Marshall Mathers EP in headphones late at night, and I decided I want to go all the way with rap. And it was like really stupid and cope, dude. Like basically, that was about the time I needed to like pull myself up by the bootstraps, probably move back to Kodiak and get a job or something and give up on music. But I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, the reality is that like most kids who go to Berkeley are completely delusional. I mean, if you make it, you're not delusional, you know? And they're all talented on some level. It's like there's all kinds of talented people who like probably aren't going to make it, and like you're just going to be a burden on your family and like a leech on society if you keep trying to make it in music. I mean, that's basically being an artist in a nutshell, bro. But, you know, I was getting ready to give up on my life in Boston, and I was quitting all my bands. And yeah, I had been rapping all throughout that time. I did one like really ghetto show at some pub. It was like a big deal. I took a freaking train to get there, and then I had to pay for a cab to get back. It was like a $70 cab ride. But yeah, I did one rap show as Lucid in Boston at some pub in the middle of freaking nowhere. And it was a big deal to me, you know? It was my first rap show. And then I also did a rap show in Vegas as Lucid Hip Hop through some Reverb Nation thing. Like, they have all these, like, pay-to-play shows that are basically scams to, like, scam delusional rappers. But there's all kinds of people who don't realize that, dude. Like, there's this whole underground industry of, like, delusional people on Reverb Nation getting scammed by all these pay-to-play crap. Maybe you can transition from that to being a professional, but dude, you have any idea how many people out there are like trying to figure out how to make it in music? It is not easy, dude. So I'm kind of trying to get to the end of this here. We're almost to the 40-minute mark. So, you know, me and that black guy were living together for a while, like 2 weeks, and eventually I had to kick him out. Like, he had his baby mama, and like 3 kids, and there was a baby crying in the middle of the night, and it became evident that like he was basically just gonna like stay there until I kicked him out. He was there on Christmas, and I didn't eat anything all day. Like, all the food in the house was gone, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, my brother's gonna come by, and he's gonna bring a turkey, and he's gonna bring eggs, and it's all gonna be good. And his brother never came, dude, and I literally like starved all day. I literally like didn't eat anything that whole day. His son probably could have kicked my ass. He had some like 17-year-old son who was like already like a big man who like looked like he could beat the crap out of me. And he was like smoking my weed without asking, and so eventually I had to kick him out. I'm not trying to talk crap about this guy, but I was really naive, bro. Vegas was a big culture shock for me. Boston is like a bunch of happy-go-lucky rich kids like, I'm going to MIT, I'm going to Harvard, I'm going to Berkeley, I'm going to be a famous musician, I'm going to be wee. I'm going to be so wonderful. And you know, if you go to Dorchester, you're going to meet some hood-ass people who are going to like bang you over the head with a wrench and like steal all your shit. So you got to be a little bit careful, but Boston is like a bunch of happy-go-lucky, delusional rich kids, dude. But chances are is most of them aren't delusional, because that's the difference between being delusional and being a success, is like how much money your family has. Oh my gosh, that's such a good one-liner, dude. I should put that in a rap. That's really the difference, dude. I'm delusional because I couldn't afford to graduate from Berkeley, and I come from a town where everybody works really hard. And then, you know, I mean, some people, like, they still haven't made it in music, but their parents just kind of pay for their home, and, like, you know, they do little thises and that's with music that probably, like, don't make enough money to live on, but it doesn't really matter because they're rich. But anyway, I don't really need to get into that bitterness in this video. So I'm making all this music in Vegas. I got to a point where I was making a song every single day. And that led up... That was going on in 2014, the second half of the year when I moved there. And eventually, this guy from Reverb Nation called me, and he hooked me up with this dude, and they're telling me that it's a development deal, you know, and they worked with French Montana, and naturally I thought it was my big break. And, you know, more or less, Captain Content, anybody knows what Captain Content has been doing with his little music videos? Same kind of deal, bro. They talk about like, oh, you know, we're going to put you on square one, we're going to take you to the studio. And I spent all of 2015 writing songs for this development deal. I wrote like 15 songs, and the first time I finished them all, I showed them to the guy on the phone, and he's like, nah, bro, like, you need to add way more trigger words, which is just like name brands and the names of streets and names of celebrities and stuff. That's like the one tip they give you for writing your songs, is use lots of trigger words. You know, I got my Motorola while I drink my Coca-Cola, dropping Gucci bags on the fly. Wonder why I go to Benihana's when I want to listen to Nirvana. You know, you gotta like reference stuff. That's what they tell you in the industry. I mean, these guys really were in the industry. But let me tell you how these kind of development deals work, dude. A real development deal is that they give you a loan. And that's also a scam, more or less. It's not necessarily a scam, but if your album flops, which it probably will, then you owe all this money to the record label. So that's a real development deal. My development deal is where I put up the money. It's like, you know, you give them money, and then they buy beats for you, and they take you to the studio, and they shoot your music video. All stuff that you can figure out on your own. No wrinkles. I don't want you going under the sink. Come on. Come on. Out. Come on, wrinkles. Out from under the sink. Go. Go. No, I don't want you under the sink. I'm making a video about rap. Thank you. But yeah, so when you do the development deal where they ask you for money, you can do all that stuff yourself, man. Like, you can hire people to shoot your music video, or you can shoot your own music video and spend your own money on your own budget. You can book your own studio time. You can go buy your own beats. It's these people who are basically like losing their industry jobs or trying to stay relevant in the industry. And I mean, if you have talent, you can make something like this work. French Montana did it and he made it work. But probably the first thing he did was got some like top of the line LA lawyer to like rip up whatever scammy contract that they wrote up. Because what they try to do is, if you do blow up from their deal, they take a percentage, like forever. So it was a really shady deal. And that guy who I bought beats from, who gave me the beat that I used for one of my newer songs, This Life, I told him about it. He's like, yeah, basically, bro, like those people are acting like they're going to be your managers and you shouldn't do it and it's shady. But, you know, I was desperate, man. Everything about Vegas was like, bro, everything about my life in Vegas was stupid. The talent buyer guy that I talked to in Boston, he basically told me, he's like, dude, I've seen this a million times. You know, Boston, like, has a music scene here. There's talented people here. If you move to Vegas, you're going to get all isolated. You're going to go down some weird spiritual rabbit hole. You're going to become, like, spiritual, and you're not going to do anything. And you're basically going to, like, blow it. And what's crazy is, like, that's exactly what happened. He was completely right. And then the guy I bought beats from was completely right about the development deal. But I was, like, big-time delusional, guys. I was really trying to figure out how to make my life keep making sense. Because, you know, a lot of people, when I was going to Berkeley, and even when I was playing in bands in Boston, you know, those bands that I was in, it kind of seemed like we were doing some pretty cool stuff. And I had all this momentum, and people kind of thought maybe I was going somewhere, and then it all just kind of seemed like maybe it was about to hit a wall. So I tried to put all this energy into rap. And you can check out my music video on my backup channel, Rally. So when I go to shoot the music video and record the songs with this guy, they did this whole good cop, bad cop thing where, like, this really nice white guy was the guy that I worked with over the phone. And then they gave me this black dude in LA, big, like, intimidating guy. And so we're driving around in the car, and he's like, oh, when we were coming up with overdubs for that song that's in the music video, he's like, what's something that people say in your town? Like, what's something unique to your town that people say? Like, when they're gonna, like, beat somebody up or party or have a good time. And it was rally. That's what people would say here. It's like, yo, let's go Crombie rally. Let's go rally the woods. Let's go rally your car. I mean, basically, rally just meant we're going to, like, run around in the woods and climb stuff and knock trees over and get drunk and high. We called it rallying. So I kind of knew exactly what he was talking about. I was like, rally. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's good. So it started as an overdub. I was like, rally. And then he's like, you know what? You're Rally. Like, that's your name. That's your rap name. I thought the guy seemed kind of cool. See, when I was shooting the music video and recording the songs and all that, at that point, I like was seeing stars, dude. I was like, oh, this is it. This guy's saying I'm good and this is dope. And he was telling me that he was going to sign me to Warner Brothers. He was telling me I was going to get a deal with Warner Brothers. And, oh my gosh, I was just desperate and delusional. And, like, I was starting to kind of, like, puff my chest out and brag on Facebook and kind of, like, talk shit to some people. It's like, oh, man, you guys never thought I was going to be anything, huh? Yeah, you didn't think I was all that, but, oh, it's my time. And all I can say in my defense, guys, is this has happened to so many people. For every French Montana, for every Lil Wayne, there are thousands, if not tens of thousands or more, delusional idiots who lose everything trying to be famous. And luckily for me, when all was said and done, because I spent all of 2016 like waiting for that music, and that's when the guy started to like kind of treat me like crap. He'd be like, hey man, I'll call you in 2 weeks, and then he wouldn't call me and I'd call him. Dude, he did that to me for like an entire year. And then eventually I was like, hey man, I'm about to get an entertainment lawyer and sue you guys. Very shortly after that, they gave me my music. He threatened to blackball me from the industry. He's like, hey man, don't be talking about like suing people and stuff. That's a good way to get blackballed from the industry, dude. I could get some of my goons to like come to your show. This guy basically started to threaten me. And I got my video. People who have listened to the video have told me, like, bro, the production's like not really that good. Like, things are clipping and it just kind of sounds like probably the way we recorded it. Like, we recorded my vocals over like the WAV file in the studio. They probably just took that same recording and, you know, flipped a couple of knobs in the mixer and just gave me that. So the song doesn't really have like a good mix down. The video's whatever. I'm just glad that I got the video. I got a couple of the songs that I recorded. So, you know, I ended up with 3 songs in a music video. Like they promised. Was it a scam? It's basically just taking advantage of somebody who's really delusional and desperate. Which is like 99.9% of the music industry, dude. And the 0.1% is the people that you see on the radio. In the music videos. So then that takes me to 2017. When I'm like, wow, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And, you know, I was into the occult, like, all through that time in Vegas. I was, like, getting, like, really deep into the occult. I joined this group called Dragon Rouge. I met weird people online. I met this dude who said he was in the Pythagorean Illuminati. I met all these people who were, like, Freemasons. I joined AMORC. I signed up on this website for, like, what's it called? The Gnostic Templars. And I just got I popped up on all sorts of radars, dude. When we're talking about, like, how I became a targeted individual or whatever you want to call it, I mean, I rubbed shoulders with, like, so many shady people, dude. Between living in Vegas, doing this rap deal, doing hood-ass rap shit in Vegas, being in the occult, bro, like, there's a bajillion different explanations I could come up with for how maybe the starting of me becoming targeted. Even though the most obvious one is through IP2. But, yeah, so in the summer, that's about the time I was starting to discover, like, Mysterium Fasces, Jay Dyer, Southern Israelite. That's when I was starting to say, hey, you know what, maybe, like, I believe in God, in the Bible, and, I quit weed for a while. I started my first semester at UNLV in 2017. I remember the first time that I got high for like the first time in a year because I panicked when my take-home final, like the page refreshed and it turned in my final without it being done. It turned it in with only half of it done and it gave me an F. I freaked out. I had to go buy weed to calm down. I had all these like posters, all these like printed out pictures all over my wall. I had decided that, oh, you know, I'm part Nordic, Celtic, and blah, blah, blah. I took like all my genealogy and then like printed out all these pictures of pagan gods from like the Celtic pantheon and the Nordic pantheon, you know. And I just kind of spammed all these freaking pagan gods all over my walls. And the first time I got high, I just looked at it and I was just like, you know what? Let's try this. And I just tore everything down. And then basically after that, I was a Christian. Or I was in that realm of theology. It started out, I was in some kind of like culty Jehovah's Witness knockoff kind of thing. But I eventually found my way. And as far as rap, the rest is history. I'm going to post all my rap in the description. And, I mean, I donated a rap on One Sonic Stream the other day. And everybody was saying how awesome it was. Somebody came in my chat today, was like, dude, if all your raps, if you make like a mixtape of, and every song sounds something like that, like, dude, then you're onto something. That song was a freestyle, dude. That was a freestyle. So, I mean, I'm not gonna end the video, but be like, yo, I'm the shit. It is my time, and yeah, they didn't recognize, dog. They didn't recognize me, but you gonna recognize me now, dude. I can't believe this video has been this long. The camera's actually gonna die soon, so So that's it, guys. The last thing I wanted to say was kind of how I think I ended up getting better. Is I think of it in this kind of like anime kind of way where that development deal like killed it for me. Like I was done, bro. I didn't think about rap. I didn't write any rap or anything until recently. You know, like these last few years as an extension of my live stream, because I eventually just kind of started freestyling for fun. And people would be like, dang, you're pretty good. But, you know, I was kind of like joke freestyling. It was kind of just like trying to make people laugh, kind of like throwback to the old days. And I slowly started taking it a little bit more seriously. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's try to make some serious songs. Like, let's try to sound a little bit more serious when I rap. Let's not like gesture rap. Like, let's rap for real. And I just kind of feel like it's this anime thing where it's like, you know, like when a character dies, but then he's reborn or resurrected. Or like in the Superman comics, like Superman died, and then he becomes some sort of like a weird phantom Superman, and then he's like even more powerful. That's what happened to my rap, dude. As an MC, my MC career died, and then eventually it was just kind of randomly resurrected, and it was more powerful when it was resurrected. Like something about completely giving up and not thinking about it for a year, because I had an unbroken chain of like putting time and effort into rap from 2010 like all the way through that development deal through 2017. And you know, I wrote like a couple more songs after that development deal before I went to UNLV. But then I stopped all the way up until like 2020. And you know, just these last few years rapping again, it's felt good. I'm not like being overly excited about it or anything, but it's like, yeah, man, it really feels right lately, and I feel like I'm better than ever, and not writing as many songs as I used to. I used to write a song like every single day, but it's working out, man. And I gotta say, guys, like moving forward on this channel, there's not much of a reason to change much right now, because honestly, I'm gonna be moving soon, some point this year, but I'm gonna be moving soon, and I feel like I'm not especially motivated to like make radical changes in my life until that move happens. But when I do get to the point where it's time to start rethinking things for my channel, probably gonna be a little bit more music, more videos in general, and probably less live streams. The live streams are alright, but it's kind of the same thing every day. And as long as I enjoy it, it's whatever. It's cool. But I'm gonna be trying to kick the music into overdrive at some point, guys. And rap will definitely be a part of it. So hopefully you enjoyed my really, really, really long story that's almost an hour. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. God bless.